We're now going back to the desert of Sinai. Just incidentally, I can tell you by coming that I went to the desert of Sinai. I didn't have the plan really. I was in Jerusalem, and just to give you an idea of the distances, I was in Jerusalem, and I wanted to take some pictures of the Holy Sepulchre. But there was nothing happening in the Holy Sepulchre. So on Tuesday morning, I came from Jerusalem, took a bus all the way down the Dead Sea and came down to the south of Israel. And I noticed on the map, I said, oh, Sinai Desert. Sinai Mountain is another 2 hours. So I said, okay, go to Sinai. So that's the story of how I arrived out here. It was an unscheduled expedition. Okay, so here we are. We are now in the Sinai Desert, and as I'm saying, this is the question of life. Everybody, every day, we should get up in the morning. Where do I come from? Where am I going to? This is the fundamental pursuit of life. Now, I'm in China, so in China they have their own stories. For example, they have their stories about Tao Te Ching, and they say in the beginning was the one, and then there was the two, and then there was the three. Now, if you're in Japan, you believe in a female sun god. So we all came from the sun. Now, if you are in India, you have Hindu, they have the Atman and the Brahman. Atman is I, the Brahman is God. So every religion, every country, every culture has its little narrative. Where do we come from? So it's very important to know where, then we can know where we're going. But just as a short synopsis of saying what is the thesis of this little program. Now, it is very simply, I believe, and 1/5 of the human mind, maybe you could say 1/3 of humanity, believes that 2,000 years ago, the God-man Jesus went up Mount Olives, the top of Mount Olives. We will see good pictures about it. He stood on the top of Mount Olives, all his apostles around him, and he took off. And just before he took off, he said, go and tell the whole world why I came, what I'm doing, and tell them to get baptized, become Catholics, and every day go to Mass. This is very short. So I'm just telling you, I'm now 80 years old, and I could say I've seen it all. I've lived all over the place. Born in Cyprus, traveled around Egypt, and I can tell you the very simple thing. Now I'm pottering around. I'm okay. Maybe I've got a little life left for me, but I've seen it all, and I can tell you very simply, if you get up in the morning, first of all, you go to the Catholic Church. You say, Father, I want to be baptized. I want to become a Catholic. And after a little program, you go there, and every morning you get up, you toddle along to the church. When you go to the church, you're going to heaven. You are living the fullness of life. You go to your Mass. Your Mass takes us to heaven, and that is a very simple explanation of what we should do. But the point is that we're all so sophisticated, we just can't take it. If we could just that's why Jesus Christ said, unless you become like little children, you cannot enter the heaven. So we just can't take it. The normal person cannot just believe that you just toddle into a Catholic church and where they're told that most of the priests are perverted. Just by the way, about these perverted priest business, the priests have had a pretty bad showing recently. Well, first of all, just a few comments, because my name is Father Alan Grant. You got this, Father, and immediately some people say, oh, these priests, what are they up to, you know? How come this priest is preaching to us? But a whole lot of priests are pretty bad shape. Well, I'm in pretty bad shape. Well, I think, first of all, just a few words, because it's worth saying, because this is a Father Alan's program. First of all, very simply, he who has no sin, throw the first stone, number one. So who are you to blame the priest or anybody? You're just as bad as everybody else. Secondly, Jesus Christ had 12 apostles and a prostitute called Mary Magdalene. And 12 apostles, one of them was Judas. So, right at the beginning, the picked followers of Jesus Christ were 12. One of them was Judas. Okay, and another follower was prostitute Mary Magdalene. So do you really think that Jesus chose, that means every Catholic church you go into, every 12th Catholic is a bad egg, and every 12th priest is a bad egg, according to his story. So what do you expect? We're all bad eggs. I'm a bad egg, you're a bad. But all these people po-face, just out of interest, there was a story recently, one of these countries where all these bad priests are supposed to come from, they had the statistics. What they don't state, that this particular country, they had so many priests had to do all sorts of funny things, and but what they don't say is that country every year they don't have hundreds, they don't have thousands, they have tens of thousands of pedophiles spreading across Asia. So it's all very well pointing your finger at these priests or other people, but the whole world is in a bad state. So this is not a apology for the state of the world, but it's a fact. We're all bad eggs, and anybody who wants. But the best of luck. That's a few comments. So we're going back to our story here. The main problem is, where am I going? Where am I going? Now I just stated what I thank my teachers. I was brought up in a Benedictine school, and you see, this is a. And they told me, you see, okay, we're going to the desert. And I was brought up in a Benedictine school. See, Sinai San. This is it. Okay. Now we're in the Sinai. We're just kind of thinking about what about life and how are things going. And as I was just state again, when I was in the Benedictine school, we were taught very simply, very fact. Oh well, this is me on the spot telling us I'm going down to Mansana, and we were told by our teachers when we were only about 14 years old. I said, you have to design your life so when you come to the age of 80, you can give your account to the boss, to God. So that's why I'm sitting here as a priest. I don't know whether I've been see, this guy's a Bedouin, you see, he's telling me what to do. So that's Sinai, you see, that's Mount Sinai in the distance, you see, very distant there, you see, look. That's Mount Sinai here. Okay, and we're going, and that music is a Bedouin sort of wedding music at the background. So I'm driving, I'm just one guy in the middle of Sinai. Okay, so what's happened here? Yes, sir.
We hope that tonight, when he is sleeping at the bottom of the mountain,
you can hear the voice.
He's not worshipping the golden calf. I will be up the mountain.
You see, you can hear me. This is, I was talking to the camera. But anyway, I was told that at the end of your life, when you're 80, you give your account to God. So I'm now 80. I'm nearly 81. According to China, I'm maybe 84, because in China, when you're born, when you're your mother's pregnant, you're 1. When you're born, you're 2. When your birthday comes, you're 3. So I could be 83 years old. Okay, now what has happened here? Okay, I've come here to the monastery of St. Catherine. Okay, now this is at the foot of Mount Sinai. Now this is about 1:30 in the morning. The guy who drove, I was just one guy, because at the time in Israel there was one of the intifadas. There was a big rumpus, so nobody. It was only crazy guys like I. And you would you like to go down to Mount Sinai today? Not many people. It's a pretty risky place. But at the time there wasn't too many problems. But anyway, I was by myself at 1:30 in the morning, and this guide, he tells me, he said, you get up, you walk along that road, and you will see this place, Mount Catherine, and when you go to the back of Mount Catherine's, of St. Catherine, this monastery, you will see the whole world. I was like, okay. So I set my alarm clock, and I was lying there, and just a little cabin place, and the alarm went off. So I set off. I go walking down the road, and I say, well, I can't see. It's all completely pitch black. absolutely black. I can see nothing. And then I come up, all they see, the monastery of St. Catherine. Well, we probably know the story. St. Catherine was supposed to be a very intelligent Egyptian woman, and she had a debate with the Egyptian philosophers, and she came up top. She was a superwoman. She was one of a superwoman, and she became a martyr. And we have the Catherine wheels. These fireworks. We saw Catherine come from her because she was put on a wheel, and so we have the. But anyway, she was taken by the angels to this place, according to the tradition. And this is at the foot of Mount Sinai, and the monks have been there for some 1,700 years. Originally, it was set up, I think, by the Emperor Constantine's mother, Helena, was a Catholic monastery, and now it's Greek Orthodox, and we have Sinaiticus, where all the rest of it. But anyway, we'll just carry on. We'll see where we go now. This is the foot of Mount Sinai, okay, in Sinai Peninsula.
This is the sign.
You see? So I'm talking in Chinese, saying I am now going to begin climbing Mount Sinai. So this is in the middle of the night, and it was a bit of an adventure because I was just by myself. And what am I going to see? How can I can't see mountains. How can I get up? So that's the kind of symbolic of our lives. Sinai symbolizes, Sinai Mountain, the contact between man and God. Okay, so we keep going. Well, this is pitch black. So this is the morning.
It's just filling with people.
You see?
It's just drive you crazy.
You see, what is this? This is the following morning. I'll just stop it for a moment to show what it is. You see, what is this? I've climbed the mountain. I was shown the wrong way down. I said, how do I get back to civilization? They say, you go there. You say, you go down there. Okay, so I go down there, and this is what I see. So it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and there I am in the middle of the Sinai range, and what am I going to do? I'm fixed. I'm in trouble. So but anyway, I sat there, tried to work out what am I going to do next, and then I watched the sun gradually rise, and this is kind of symbolic of our lives. So we can imagine Moses probably saw the same thing. You see, there's the sun up there, just rising, and so as I was saying, this Mount Sinai is kind of symbolic of the contact between man and God. And in a few minutes now, when we've been through this, you might call it the Sinai experience, we will have a cartoon presentation of what it is. So this is on the morning. This is about 6 o'clock in the morning on Mount Sinai. I sat there while the sun was rising because I'd lost my way. I didn't know where I was, and then I began to work it out. So this is a kind of like Moses on the mountain. He probably didn't know what was going on. So I'm sitting there, and gradually the light is coming up, and I'm showing you quite a lot of this mountain because I think it's quite a good. They're good, striking pictures, So this symbolizes, I was saying, 40 years in the desert symbolizes our lives. That's a generation. So you say 1 to 40. So we can, all of us, if the great thing in life is the most important schools of life is suffering. So when we're in the desert, this symbolizes, see, we have a little hut here. I don't know who's living there. See, we have a donkey, some other fool that maybe, they were sitting there. Look, okay, now, what is this? See, the stairs to monastery. So there I was in the middle of nowhere. How am I going to get out? Hey, I suddenly see here, look, stairs to the monastery. So some holy monk had made these stairs. And now we're going to go down the stairs to St. Catherine's Monastery. So as I say, we have to give it to them. We will see in a minute. That guy did a good job. You see, the stairs to the monastery. From right to the bottom of this hill, right up to the top here, he built these stairs. The stairs to the monastery. Okay, so I said, well, anyway, I can understand that. Okay, and I began to go down the monastery because I had to be at the bottom of the mountain by 7:30 in the morning, because if I wasn't in the mountain at 7:30 in the morning, See, there's a donkey here. I have to be here at 7:30 in the morning. Otherwise, this car is going to go back. I want to go back to Jerusalem. So I'm sitting up here. Okay, the lights come. So now I'm going to say, okay, donkey, have a good time. I'm going down to going down the stairs. You see, here is the sun is coming up, and you see this. You can get the idea. 40 years in this, you know. Okay, now I'm coming down. What is coming down? I'm coming down now. I'm coming down. I'm coming down Mount Sinai. Shudai. This I'm speaking Chinese here. They should have got rid of that Chinese, but anyway, here we are. This is the whole thing. So as we're going down, we can say that this is like the stations of the cross, our way in life. How do we make sense of the whole thing? And we see keeping going down there, and while there, as you're saying, the high, we could say the high point of this whole journey is the top of this mountain, where men have been given the 10 Commandments. Okay, so I've been told to keep quiet. So at this point, this little session comes to an end, and I'll come back to you in a few minutes. Okay, we're at the top of Mount Sinai, walking down. Okay, have a good time. God bless.